Hello, and welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures That Outperform. I hope we didn't disappoint you. We said we'd be back January 2nd, but we decided to take a little bit of a longer vacation before we kicked off the new show. We're starting the year with Jerks at Work. I think you're going to find this series really interesting. We're going to go through all those super annoying personality types. We're going to tell you how to spot them, how do you deal with them, and what not to do. And so this is going to be very informative. I'm excited about it. It's a great series. We're going to try to include some videos. It was difficult to get a good video out of some of these tools that was really funny and works. So we're going to continue to work on that and see if we can add those. But it's a very, very rich series. You can see these. I believe we'll do most of these. We may not do all of them. Terry and I are still talking through the details on some of this, but this is where we've ended up. There are a lot of different jerks at work. And I think you're going to love the series. You may want to just check back, maybe if it's a week where we're doing something that really interests you. No problem. But we're starting today with the Hero Complex, episode 1 of the series. And so you may have run into these people. They have an insatiable need to be noticed, to be somebody. And it leads them to actually create situations where they could be the hero. And it happens in all different types of professions. You could see those angels of death, the nurses that work in hospitals. You could see firemen starting fires to put it out. I've run into a number of these in the workplace, and we'll get into it. But they create the crisis so that they can be the hero and save the day. Have you run into any of these, Tara?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You find people that, I've been in software for more than 30 years now, but most of my experience has been in software and IT. And so you'll find people that they know that there's a bug in the code and they won't say anything. They'll wait for the crisis. They've already figured out how to solve the problem so they can be the hero, or they actually create the bug in the code, right?
Yes.
They do something simple and subtle that they can go in and fix right away and say, oh, I saved the day. You've got various versions of this. I love the system administrator who creates all the problems with the hardware and then comes back to solve them because there was just this one wire that needs to be plugged in and he's the only person that could find it. This is about a very insecure person who really needs somebody to validate them. They need somebody to beef them up and to tell them that they're great because they feel insecure. They feel like, I want to be at the center. I want to be the person that's the hero that everybody comes to, but they're going about it all the wrong ways. I mean, just all the wrong ways possible.
All the wrong ways. And they, frequently you see these people. You also have the ones who have that huge ambition, the big ambition drive, but they don't have kind of the career track to be able to be the person they really want to be. So they look for opportunities to be important, right?
Yeah. And they don't have the discipline that it takes to become that go-to person. They don't want to do the work. They just kind of want to short circuit and get there without doing the work. And so it just creates a crisis that doesn't have to be. And eventually people figure it out, right? I mean, if you're constantly the one person that knows the answer, then people are going to start looking into, what's really going on here.
The first one I ran into, we were rolling a new system out at Merrill Lynch. We'd built it. It was going out 500 branches, brand new system going out. We had it done ahead of time, fully tested by the users, all signed off. So we had the thing running in production with a test file coming from Bank One of Columbus, Ohio. I won't go into details of what it was, but everything was working, all signed off, and we were just set to go live. The day, like 4:00, the day before it's actually going live and being turned on for the offices, I get a call, and it's from one of the users, good guy, worked with him very closely, said, oh, so-and-so, happened to be the guy who was the main tester on the business side, had told him there was something wrong. He found it, there's a bug in the system, and there's going to be big problems tomorrow morning when this goes live in the branches. And he called me up and said it was something XYZ. So we're at the data center that night getting all the final stuff set up. And we go in and try to debug this and see what it was. And we found one instruction set was off. And so this guy knew about it for a long time. And he was the go-to tester, the guy who knew the most of anybody. And he was going to save the day the next day. We realized it. He was
Yeah.
such a jerk, but he was brilliant. He was actually really smart. He just wanted to be more than he was. He had incredible insights. He was the go-to guy, and it was such a headache. We had to go get approval. They had to call the guy who ran all the data centers and the guy who ran the division to give us permission to move this code in at the last minute. It was a big headache. They're calling people at 2 a.m. so we could do these moves after we debugged it, got it in, thing goes off flawlessly. And I realized, like, what a major asshole this guy was. Right? He
Yeah.
was doing it on purpose to be somebody. That was the hero. And he was brilliant. He knew everything. He knew
Yeah.
for a long time this was wrong and decided to leave that bomb there.
It's so frustrating. I think the exact opposite of what these guys are trying to accomplish is what they really accomplish. Is it becomes very annoying.
Yeah.
People are just really frustrated by this person that constantly is just creating this crisis that everybody now has to scramble around. It's actually doing the exact opposite of what they're trying to do.
Well, let's go through this. Here's different reasons people do this, right? Unmet achievement needs, desire to stand out and be seen as capable, validation through crisis. Crises provide instant feedback and recognition. Attention rewards, prevention gets no credit, crisis resolution gets applause. And you see this in small departments. Bigger companies have more controls now. They have a lot better audit. You could see who did what. It's hard to do this in a real big company these days. Years ago, you could, but in small and mid-sized companies, these people could flourish because they're understaffed. Identity loop, being the hero becomes part of their self-worth, and the organizations reward drama over reliability. And those are real issues that allow these people to flourish in places. And I think everybody should be on the lookout for them, especially in these small and mid-sized companies.
Yeah. Yeah. That insecurity has to be addressed.
Yeah.
You can't just let that person continue to do those things and put the company in a bad place is really what's happening. They're leaving the company vulnerable, and then there are times where, they think that it's just this one thing, but it ends up being more than just that one thing. And it could create a bigger crisis than they had planned for.
Oh,
So
yeah. It's very dangerous.
Very dangerous game to play. It really is.
Very dangerous game. And so I think you're right on it. You got to spot them.
Yes.
Who is that person that thrives on emergencies and drama? Because that one guy I mentioned he was tricky about it because he didn't do this often. He wanted it to be the big one because this was the first huge system getting rolled out to the branches. It was the first time. He was going to be the hero and save the day. So he was very clever about it. We had another guy, he was a Vietnam War vet. I ended up taking over this area. And he knew kind of in the mainframe CICS internals so well. He was in there doing stuff that nobody knew about, and everybody became reliant on him. But I spotted that this dude is in the middle of every big problem. I said, this doesn't make sense. He was a consultant too. And you could spot him. You just got to look at these patterns, that happen. And this guy, they all said, you can't fire him. I said, get him out of here. Take all of his access away, and we'll give him access if something happens. Nothing happened. So we then got rid of him after that. But I took his ability away to create the problems, and sure enough, they went away too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad, that person that's out there just sabotaging things just to get the credit for fixing. It's just really a sad, sad situation that the person feels like that's what they have to resort to. So as
terrible.
A leader, you want to make sure you're recognizing people in your organization and see what needs aren't being met so that you can actually help them get their needs met in a better, more healthy way.
Yeah. And you do find these people are normally kind of quiet, except they're really the hero and loud during the crisis. Their behavior changes. They turn into a different person, and they just want that applause.
Yeah.
So how do you handle them? What to do?
As the go-to person. That's what they want. They want everybody to say, oh yeah, they're so smart. They know everything. They're able to solve that big problem that nobody could solve.
Absolutely. And I think these are some good recommendations. Like, what do you do about it? Number one, you got to detect the pattern. You got to protect the team. You got to remove them from the crisis. And look, if you find out they did it and you can prove it, you got to get rid of them. You got to get them out of there. Like this one guy's name was Joe. I took all his access away because he did have a lot of valuable knowledge. In the event we still needed him, but I got rid of him after we found out all the problems went away. And I think you got to get him out of the organization because you're not going to fix this person. You're just not going to. And they are bright. And here, you could channel energy to prevention, right? Reward the quiet reliability. Don't reward crises at all. Reward the right behavior, right, Tara?
Yeah, you got to change the culture. You got
You
to let
do.
people know that, although crises happen, you can't stop things from happening, but don't rely on that as the only method to reward people. Look for people that are actually trying to solve problems before they occur. Look and reward that prevention. Reward
Right.
those folks that are really looking to see, I know we've got this big release. Are there any things that we've missed? People that are being proactive and
Yeah.
not just the ones that are waiting for something big to happen so they can go in and fix it. This providing legitimate achievement paths, this is huge in
Yes.
solving this problem where people feel like they have to be the hero, where you give them alternative paths for celebration. It's another easy way to celebrate and reward those folks that are doing things behind the scenes. They're not trying to be in the front. They're not trying to be in the spotlight. They're not trying to be the hero. They just want things to be better. They want the workplace to be a fun place. They want it to be a place where people thrive. And
Right.
so reward that behavior, and you'll start to see that more people are leaning towards prevention than they are crisis management.
That's right. Fix the system and increase transparency. Make sure you have the logging and the monitoring working.
Yeah,
And that when there is something does happen, that you can go to the logs and you could see what happened.
exactly.
And this is why in these small mid-sized companies where they don't have good controls, the control environment isn't that mature, these people could still thrive. They get away with stuff even in big places like on test teams and things, but harder in IT, I think, than it used to be, because everything is,
Yeah,
you got visibility over everything.
yeah,
What not to do. I think this is very important. Look, don't ignore the pattern, right? Patterns are signals. Look for patterns if you're a
right,
leader. It's not normal to have a lot of these things happening, and it's very unusual that one person's in the middle of a lot of it.
right.
Um, your thoughts on these, Tara?
Yeah. So you don't want to reward that crisis all the time. When you're celebrating this one person all the time, it makes them feel like, oh, this is the way to get applause. This is the way that I can be somebody. And so they begin to create more fires. And that's exactly the opposite of what you want. You don't want them to narrate the rescue. They kind of create this chaos, and then they come in and they got the cape on and they're saving the day for everybody. But it's just really chaos that is ensued around this fire that they've created. And it's really unhealthy and it's
Oh
very
yeah.
stressful. It's usually at some strange hour of the day that you're having to get up early in the morning or late at night, and you're having to do all these things because somebody has on purpose caused a crisis. Now, we're not talking about those crises that happen, things just happen, especially
Oh
in
yeah. Bad
software,
things happen occasionally.
things happen.
You get to the root
So,
cause.
yeah, you're not talking about the run of the mill things, but when you start to see those patterns, I think Frank is dead on. When you start to see those patterns where it's the same person, it's the same crisis every single time. Oh, there's this one thing that I found. There's something behind that. And as a leader, don't ignore it. Don't let that person continue to do that over and over again because it's wearing out your team. And you don't want your team to get to that place of frustration where they start to give up and quit. So make sure you're paying attention to what's happening and recognizing
Right.
those signs because they're there. You're just not looking for them. Start
Yeah.
to look for those
And
signs.
and I think these other points are very important. Like, don't let them narrate what happened and actually what they did to fix it. You've got to do the autopsy. You've got to get to the root
Yes.
cause. If you don't have a strong problem management area, that digs into, does a root cause analysis, gets to root cause, even if it takes them a few days.
Yeah.
You've got to get to root cause, because this is how you actually break that cycle. That, when people are being watched, they tend not to do this stuff because they know they're going to get caught.
Right.
So
And it's going to be somebody else doing the autopsy, right? So
right,
it's
that's
not the
right. Don't
person
let
that
them
solved the
narrate the
problem.
whole thing.
Exactly.
You
You've
got
got
to
to
have an
get somebody
independent
else to
problem
look at it.
management group. Has to be there. And crisis is loud, prevention is silent. Reward the fact that things are running well. That's what you got to do. And so,
Absolutely.
next week we're moving on to the ticking time bomb. We've all worked with that individual. People are afraid to go over and ask for help. They
Yeah.
blow up. They have a force field around them. We'll spend a little time talking about that. But this is a great series. These are real personality types. The jerks at work, they exist. There's many of them. And you should be adept at spotting these people and knowing how to deal with them. So in every episode, we'll say, what do you do? What don't you do? And we'll go
Yes.
into some details on this. I think it'll be a really, really good series. I'm
Yes.
excited about it. And
I
remember,
am
we're
too. I
here
think this is
almost
good.
every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern, launching another episode. So I hope you could join us.
Yes. Bye for now.